All right, everybody in the Travel Cafe, you can keep eating your lunch. How's the fish sandwiches? Are they good? Oh, I got a lot of thumbs up. Cocktails, how are they? Good. A lot of heads shaking, they're good. We are here in the Travel Cafe, the Champions Pavilion, 66th Annual Ford Boat Sport and Travel Show. I'm Brian Pointer, host of Indy Sports Show Live. We are having so much fun. High noon out here, lunchtime. Crowds are just jam-packed. Guest on the couch, Mike DelVisco, tells me parking was about the worst he's seen it, which is great news. Please come to the Ford Boat Sport and Travel Show. Lines are going to be down by the time you get here. Great day to come to the Indianapolis Ford Boat Sport and Travel Show. As mentioned, we are here with one of my true favorites, and we've talked throughout the year in a variety of different ways. Mike DelVisco, it's great to have you here. Texas Roadhouse, bass fisherman. Great to have you back on the couch again.
Nice being
here.
Where
do you find the time to do all these shows with what you do?
Well, I'm a really good planner is the thing. So that's one of the things about being a professional bass fisherman and doing it for 35 years, that you've got to plan stuff out. And I've always been super organized and a super good planner. I'm already planning stuff for next year. That's how good I am. So if
wow.
you've got
There's no trophies here, Mike. No trophies.
You got stuff planned out, you can be prepared for just about everything.
Well, you are truly one of the nicest guys, and when we've always talked, you've been so generous with your time. You're a fan favorite because Texas Roadhouse has been a long-time 17-year sponsor. You're going to be doing some appearances here in Indianapolis. Already have done some. You're going to do some in between. You're doing seminars on bookends throughout the day today. But you've got to be awfully proud of the relationships that you've been able to keep, especially with Texas Roadhouse, because you make a lot of those folks happy when you walk into the restaurant.
Yeah, they're such a great company to work with. And, I never knew 17 years ago that, I'd still be here today. Who in the fishing industry has got a non-endemic sponsor that has been that long. I don't know, there's too many of them, but they're just really the right company to fit what I do, and they support everything that I like to do. And my whole plan when I walked in and presented them was, let's build something around your guests and the corporate culture and the philosophy that they have. So we like to give back. I like to give back every single appearance that I've done in the last 17 years, and there's been probably over 600 of them, is we give away a fish and tackle prize pack at every single one. So guests can come in, visit with me, enter to win a prize pack, stuff, really good stuff from all my sponsors. They can go take that and go fishing with them. So it's a really cool thing to be able to go in there and do that and be able to interact with the fans as well.
Well, you live on Douglas Lake. You're down in Dandridge, Tennessee, and you were a wealth of inconsequential knowledge because you said Dandridge is the second oldest city in Tennessee, but we're not going to ask you what the first is because you don't know, do you?
I'm not 100% sure.
See, that's what I do. I put people on the spot.
Yeah.
But you come from Tennessee. You spend a lot of time on the road. A lot of things happening in the professional bass fishing world. Tournaments changing, people going to different formats. Tell us, you're an organizer. How do you keep track? I can't.
It's even hard for me sometimes, and I think the competition is good for the sport too, with Major League Fishing coming on and they're doing their thing, and that made for the internet format that they've got. I watched a little bit of it this morning, a little bit of it yesterday morning. It's really cool. Bassmaster's still running strong. That's where I started my career 35 years ago, fished my first Bassmaster Invitational, and then FLW's filling up the fields and the BFLs now, which is it's really cool when you see, kind of that grassroots organization, which is, BFL, part of FLW, and your boat sponsor, Phoenix Boats, comes in and sponsors the whole tour and gives out a ton of bonus money. So I'm fishing a bunch of them this year. I've always fished some. I'm fishing 2 different divisions this year. Try to make 2 different regionals, try to make the All-American. There's a ton of bonus money. There's a lot of stuff to fish. If you're a professional bass fisherman or even a weekend fisherman right now, there is no shortage of things to fish.
Did you think it would ever come to this? I know it's a simple question. We've asked it every year you and I have been together, but it just keeps going and going. Do you see an end? Is it too many leagues? Is it too many tournaments? Is it too many fishermen?
I don't think so. there's something new coming next year. National Professional Fishing League is coming.
Another acronym we got to remember.
And they're gearing up to start. They haven't released the schedules yet and stuff like that, but it's something I'm certainly looking at for in the future. Every year I say, man, I got to try to do a little bit less and a little bit less. I want to go. I've got a bucket list of lakes that I want to go fish from traveling around the country. That it's growing every year, and more and more stuff comes up, and I'm trying to slow down a little bit, but yet the competitor in me wants to keep fishing. So,
well, not only the competitor in you that keeps fishing, but you like to stay on the cutting edge, and you're here for a particular reason, because you in particular are kind of a leader in one of the not new, just always ever evolving sonar. The technology in sonar is insane. You're here to kind of demystify that today in your seminars. What do people need to be aware of now when they hear the word sonar and fishing?
I think it's really intimidating. You look at where stuff's come just in the last couple of years, and we've got technology that lets us look out to the side, 360 degrees. We've got mapping, regular, down scan, sonar, all these different things that we've got. But I try to break down, and I've now been doing a sonar seminar for over 25 years. I've been coming to this show for probably 25 years, and I think back then I was doing a sonar seminar as well. And I've revamped it over the years for different technology, and when things change, you've got to keep it current. But the one thing in 35 years, that the principles of sonar haven't changed. It's still the same as what, even though we didn't have great stuff back 35 years ago, the way sonar actually works doesn't change, and it won't. So I try to break things down, and that's what I'm going to be doing here at 1 o'clock in the seminar lounge. Is regardless of what you use for equipment, regardless of what you fish for, regardless of the boat that you've got, and sonar doesn't know any of that. You turn the machine on, it's going to tell you something, regardless if it's brand A, brand B.
Well, that means that you've got to understand what it's telling you. Now, if I'm a weekend warrior, I'm not in the boat 4, 5, 6 days a week, going to all these places, getting the latest and greatest, highest end technology. Can I use that? How do I figure it out?
Absolutely, and that's what I try to do. I break it down. I make it really easy, regardless of what you're fishing for, regardless of what you're fishing with. And when you understand how it works, it clicks.
What does it tell you?
So,
as just an average fisherman, what does that technology tell me?
Right. So the things that I want to know at the most basic level on sonar is, what's the bottom made of, and are there fish there? And if you've heard the old saying that 90% of the fish live in 10% of the lake, that is extremely true. Even though I do this for a living and I get to fish a lot, I don't catch them every single minute that I'm fishing. You think like, man, you fish for a living. You catch one out of every cast if you want. It's not true. I get backlashes in my reels. I throw my baits in trees. I break lures off. I do the same thing you guys do, and I'll admit it too. It's breaking it all down and finding that 10%. That's what we're trying to do. When we're fishing during the course of the day, how many times have you fished 3 or 4 hours and not caught them, and all of a sudden stumble upon something and catch a whole bunch of fish? There's a reason why they're there, and it's typically something that sonar will tell you. Hard to soft bottom transition, a drop, a little irregularity in the cover. There's a reason why the fish are here and not there.
So these, I'm sure there's a variety of price points to get into something like this. Probably a myth that it's too cost prohibitive for the average fisherman to get some of this stuff. Is that true?
It used to be, 10, 12 years ago, when side scan and all that new technology was really coming around, when it went from just having, some mapping, introductory mapping and maybe some sonar stuff 10, 12, 15 years ago, to being able to do a side scan, down scan, all these different things. Then the transducers were real expensive. You had to spend a couple $1,000s to get a unit that will do that. Now you can get a 5-inch or a 7-inch screen that's, $300 or $400, and even sometimes cheaper, that will look out to the side. So it's come down to having that technology available in a whole lot of different price points too.
Well, that's one of the reasons that this show is the nation's largest. Bringing people like you, talking to people like me who don't know this stuff, But you get up close and personal and make it easy. You self-produce some of your own DVDs on this technology as well.
Yeah, and that's crazy too, because we were talking a little bit about this before we went live, and 18 years ago I had my first Sonar DVD. And it did great because, everybody had, if it was sooner than that, I would have done it on a VHS or you probably know, reel to reel. So I had a DVD and it did great because I was, if you wanted information, you couldn't go on the internet. I don't even know if we had the internet, back then. So that did really well. And, this year I decided, well, I'm going to revamp it and do a new one. And 18 years ago, I had to hire a production company and guys with cameras and all kind, and it was a fortune to put this thing together. And my new one, I filmed it all myself, edited it myself, wrote it myself, scripted it, did the whole thing, the only thing I didn't do was produce the actual, copies of the DVD. I sent it to a company that duplicates them and packages them, all that stuff. I designed the cover, designed everything.
Look at you. Where do you find the time?
It took a long time. It took almost 10 months of, traveling, come back, work on it a little bit, and, things like that. But the cool thing is that aside from the actual DVD, which people still like DVDs, to have a hard copy of the product, there's a video download of it too. You couldn't do that 18 years ago, so you can go on my website, click download instead of DVD, get the file sent right to your computer, and then the really cool thing, if I update it, say there's something new that comes along in technology 6 months from now, I film another little 5-minute segment on that, you'll get an email from me and get a free download.
Well, you're obviously a jack of all trades, but it's always fun to get to know the person a little better. I heard a story that when you were a young kid, you had the opportunity that your dad and grandpa said, we'll take you on a fishing trip, and your mom offered to take you out to California or something, a non-fishing trip, and you chose the fishing trip.
I think it was Florida. Yeah, because
you chose right.
Yeah, my dad and granddad really, they were the ones that, and neither one of them ever tournament fished. We didn't know about tournament fishing 30, 40 years ago, whatever, I guess it was. Yeah, 40, probably more than 40 years ago now. And, we had little pond. I grew up in Massachusetts, the most unlikely place on earth for somebody to become a professional bass fisherman. But I liked it, and I just liked going to the pond and hanging out and catching some bluegills and, catfish or a bass here and there. And I got in my first, I guess when I was 15 or 16, got in my first junior bass club. And that's when I kind of learned, hey, this bass tournament stuff's pretty cool. I always loved fishing as a kid, but, didn't know about tournaments until then. And here I am now, ever since then.
Guy from Massachusetts, now living in Tennessee, the heart of bass country, all the success that you've had. You brought up the junior bass stuff. I'd like to get your perspective on the rise of the high school bass fishing, the college bass fishing. That's insane.
It's crazy now. You think of, and I don't know if you know this, but the very first state that ever did a sanctioned through their high school association bass fishing league, state of Illinois.
Okay.
The IHSA. Illinois High School Association was the first one. They had 400 and some odd schools had bass teams. They were the one that kind of brought it to the forefront. I was involved a little bit with that, with some of my video teachings and stuff that I did. They licensed a bunch of that technology, and I got to see it grow. And not only do we have high school teams now, but there's junior high teams. I even did a thing in Tennessee for I think it was a K through 4 that wanted to learn how to fish. And we did in the classroom 4 weeks in a row. And then their field trip was, we're going to take them to the local pond and they're going to go catch their first fish.
Where will it end?
It was really, really cool to see kids that had never fished before catch their first fish and be enthused about it like I was back then. And that's what it's really all about. The tournaments and all this other stuff is great, but I really like seeing when the young kids get involved and seeing it maybe, and especially the ones that maybe have never fished before ever, and they pick it up and they like it.
So I'm going to stay consistent, and I'm going to ask you a question I've asked others sitting here with me. getting to know a little bit more about you. The best piece of fishing advice you've ever received?
Probably keep it basic. I know, and you probably had that a lot from people.
It's all different.
I'm a very basic, look at how much stuff. Walk around Tackletown here. And I've been walking around here 2 weekends in a row. And I've bought a bunch of stuff while I'm here. I'll probably buy a bunch again here this weekend. Keep your choices simple. Keep your colors simple. The more stuff you have at your disposal to fish with, the more you want to change baits. And the more you change, you don't really figure out how to catch fish. Because one of the things I teach, and this is going back to the sonar, we're bringing it all around here. The hard part is actually finding the fish. The easy part is catching them. If you get your bait in front of a fish, they're probably going to eat it. They eat or they don't eat. I'm hungry, I'm not hungry. If they're in the cover or in that structure where they live, they're probably going to bite something. So finding them is the difficult part, finding that 10%. Catching them's easy. So it's not like I have to have that particular lure and that particular color and this particular size and that running depth or whatever, or they're not going to bite it.
Right.
So although I have a lot of stuff, my color choices are pretty centric between baits, hard baits, soft baits, things like that, sizes. Let the fish tell you what they want. Figure out that portion of the game and keep all of the other stuff aside. Don't overthink things when you're trying to fish. And that's what I try to tell a lot of people. And I get a lot of questions about, hey, have you tried this? Have you tried that? Have you tried? And it's overwhelming, with the internet and with shows like this and seeing all the dealers, it's just an overwhelming amount of information.
Keep it simple, stupid.
Keep it simple. It's the same fish I fished for 35 years ago. It had, just like sonar. Sonar has not changed in 35 years. The bass hasn't changed either. It's still a transducer that sends a signal down to the bottom. It's hits something and prints it on your screen.
I'm going to make your eyes light up here, getting to know you a little bit better. People may not know you've got a hobby outside of fishing. Now, you're quite an Italian cook. What's on the menu these days at the DelVisco house? What do you like?
It could be a wide range of things depending upon how often I'm home, which, I have a little downtime when I'm done here at the Indianapolis Boat Sport Travel Show. I might just make myself a pizza. I have not, I have a 48-hour window for my pizza, and because the dough takes 48 hours to make.
Yep.
I haven't had a couple of days straight in my schedule in the last month to get home and make one. I think I'm probably going to, if I start Tuesday, by the time I get home, I should be eating one by Thursday is what I'm thinking. So
I know that's a passion of yours. And you've even told me in the past, and I want to know if this is still true, if and when you decide that this slowdown comes to a permanent, you have a secret idea, you have a hobby that you've talked about that you want to do something with, but I think it's a great idea.
Yeah.
What is that?
If I had an actual restaurant, and maybe like a diners, drive-ins, and dives deal, would he come visit my deal, it'd have to be under my rules, number one. Because I'm not good under pressure. That's why I plan things out.
Oh, so you're a professional bass fisherman because you're not good.
But I'm not good under pressure at all. There would be no menu. There would be no walk-ins. It would be a small place, like maybe as big as the Sportsman's Cafe here with 8 or 10 tables. You come in, reservations only, sit down, eat what I give you.
You're kind of a control freak, aren't you?
And go home. But it'll be good stuff. It's not like you come in there and eat a hot dog or something. Yeah. It's going to be, it could be homemade lasagna one day. It could be homemade pizza the next. It could be this. Believe me, you'll go home.
Italian's your specialty.
Yeah, Italian's my specialty. And, and it wasn't really by choice. Of course, I am Italian. But, there's really, the town that I live in, it's the second oldest town in Tennessee for a reason. There isn't a whole bunch there. We've got a street light, a grocery store, and a bank is pretty much what we've got in my town. So if I want to have some pizza, I got to travel. So I learned how to make it myself. And then it grew from there to, man, if I can make some pizza, I can maybe make some pasta, So we learned how to do that.
Well, I love it.
It's not that hard. Pizza dough is the hardest, though, because you got to get it just right.
It takes years to master, just like it is for you as a professional bass fisherman. Mike, it's been great to have you back. I love visiting with you. I know you've got some sessions to do.
Yeah, coming up here at 1 o'clock.
Prepared for those. Folks, it's the 66th Annual Ford Boat Sport and Travel Show. Don't forget also the Deer Turkey Waterfowl Expo today and tomorrow, wrapping it up over there. Standing room only, I've heard from reports already this morning. Travel Cafe, stop in, say hello, grab a cocktail, grab some lunch, grab some food. Check us out. On the hour, we're going to be back here real shortly with some of the folks that make the Boat Sport and Travel Show what it is, and that is the vendors that are here. Some who traveled from really far away. We're going to visit with one of those next when we return. See you in a little bit.
What is the best way to reach your customers? Have you tried traditional marketing and fallen short? Use video marketing from NKT Productions. It's effective, economical, and it can be used across multiple devices. Capture your customers where they spend their time most, on TV, websites, email, and social media. Don't miss your chance to show the world how great your business is with video marketing. Experience the power of video marketing through NKT Productions. Meet with one of our experienced media agents to learn more.